And good Sunday morning, all my Healy friends in the U.S. here and abroad. We have several people, almost 500. This is part 2 of a device training. And hope you got, I put the first one in the Telegram group, and we'll put both of them in after this as soon as we figure out it'll be a big rendering, so it'll take probably a couple hours to get it. Tiny little bits of housekeeping. You may have seen that I put a document in the Telegram group that we ran out of the wristbands. We're still going to do partial shipments. We are keeping track of it. There's an insert in the box that says this. And once they come in, we'll just automatically send them right out to you. If you got a box with one wristband, that was a mistake, and we may not be aware of that. So you do need to put a ticket in for that one. So guys, who's gonna be our starting point? I'm excited I've got my Healy ready to go, and I'm ready to learn.
Start here just by making an introduction. Welcome everyone to our training. Today we're going to focus primarily on the Resonance Analyze app. Go through how to set it up. And then we're going to discuss troubleshooting, and then we're going to open it up to questions throughout. And this is primarily going to be run by Ken and Freddie, and I will chime in to add some things along the way. So we're going to start out with Ken. So take it away, Ken.
Well, already. Okay. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate that. And we're actually, what I'd like to do is to show you guys how to find and load the apps. So Freddie was going to do a little demo on how to find the app through your app store. And so Freddie, I think you can share your screen. Do we need to make you host?
Okay, I'll make Freddie host now. So give me 1 second here. Okay.
And then Freddie will hand it back. We'll just pass it back and forth.
Freddie, just know when I give it to you, I won't be able to unmute if I mute myself. So if you need me for anything, just unmute me. Here we go.
Okay.
See it there?
I got it.
Okay. All yours.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Very good. Good morning, everyone in Healy world, across the world. It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you. What you're seeing, first let me ask Ken, can you give me a thumbs up? You see my phone screen okay? Perfect. So this is an Android phone, and just so you know, it is a Note 10, okay? So what I get the pleasure, hold on. Got to keep the phone on. There we go. The first thing I want to do is I want to show you on your Android device where you go to actually find the Analyze app. So you'll see right there the top part, it says Play Store. So when you tap on Play Store, it's going to give you the search option. And up at the top, you see where it says search. When I tap that search, I already have Healy World GmbH. It's already there, right? Now, when I tap that, it's open up, and you're going to see the 4 apps, right? We have the Healy app where all the programs reside. Second, you search app. And then the last one there is the Watch app, okay? In some cases, you may not see all 4 of these apps. You may have to type in, for example, Healy Analyze in order for that app to come up. And I think Ken's going to share that as well. So once you go and you tap on, in this case, again, it's going to be the Healy app. You'll see I already have it installed. All you'll do is you'll install it. And then once it's installed onto your device, it will be the one here, if you look right below the middle, the one that has the blue dot in it. And it's labeled HealAdvisor Analyse. You see the one to the left of it, it says HealAdvisor, right? Similar titles, but the one with that swoosh, okay, that is the search app. We're going to go back over here. We're going to open up the Analyze app, right? And then here is where you will begin. Okay, so I'm going to give it back over to you, Ken, now, and I'll let you go through, and then we'll come back here and we'll go through this process, okay?
Right on. Sounds good. Thanks, Freddie. Yes, and that's like he said, that is the Android app or the Android operating system, and the The iOS is just a little bit different, but still the names, when you're searching for things, I know it might be a little confusing because we're talking about doing resonance training. We're talking about doing an analysis training. We're talking about doing Analyze app. These are all really same kind of information or same training for the same product. It's just that we've got a couple different names here. So I'm going to show you guys. Let's see. I'm gonna need to get the host back to me. And
yep, that's Freddie.
Yep,
Freddie, just make.
I will.
Yeah, you're the host. He's the host.
Okay. So let's. Where did it go? Bear with me, guys. Freddie, you want to explain those words you were talking about, the analyze and analysis and the...
Absolutely. So again, when you go back and you're uploading your apps, right? 4 distinct apps. You want to make sure when you are loading up those apps that you're loading up the one that you either have a subscription for or your package. For example, the resident package. Okay, part of that is going to be the Analyze app. So you want to make sure that you upload the Analyze app to get started with the Analyze. Same thing applies if you're talking about the search app. You want to make sure that you have the one search app has that swoosh in it. And of course, the watch is pretty but they use the similar names there, right? HealAdvisor. So you want to make sure you have Analyze versus the search. You ready to go there, Ken?
Yeah, it's loading. It's just slow.
Okay, very good.
Okay. You know, so we had to, this, interestingly enough, this morning, there's been some slow internet operations, which is kind of interesting. And that's going to affect some of the things that we're doing also, by the way, folks, because when we're downloading or uploading information from the cloud, the Healy cloud, then our bandwidth is extremely important, whether we're on a Wi-Fi or we are on our LTE or cellular data network. It's going to be extremely important, that bandwidth. Okay, so let's get this party started. So what we're going to take a look at here is essentially the Healy Analysis app, aka Resonance. Okay. And when I say resonance, that is actually what it's doing. In other words, when it's interacting with a client, a person, and we'll talk about what a client looks like, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. So it's resonating with this individual or this client, and that's where we're going to get our details. Okay, so these are the apps that Freddie had talked about. If you're, like, for instance, on my screen, I have it in a specific Healy little file, and this is what they're for. So I refer to these a lot of times by the dot color. So we have the Healy blue dot, we have the Healy pink dot, we have the HealAdvisor with the swooshy lines like Freddie mentioned, and then we have the Healy watch. This kind of talks about what they are all for about, what they do. So primarily today, if you notice the word HealAdvisor underneath that Healy blue dot, that's the one we're working with today. Okay, that's going to be your visual icon. Okay, when you're looking for things, that's kind of your visual aid. This is what it looks like when we are on the iOS system. So when you go and do your search, this is what you come up with. And it looks like this, Healy Analysis. Again, a little bit confusion, but just know that this is what we're looking at. Okay. So when you open the app, you first open the app, after you've loaded it onto your device, you open the app, and this is what you see. This is their first screen. Okay. It's going to ask you to look at the disclaimer. This is always going to come up with all of our devices, all of our apps. You're going to have a disclaimer you got to look at and agree to, or at least you hit the next key. Okay. Once you've moved forward, now the fact that your Healy is turned on or turned off is significant here, because if it's not turned on and you open your app like we've just done, it's going to say, hey, do you have a Healy? And it's this pink tab at the bottom says, I have a Healy, or the next one below that says, I'm interested in Healy. If you click in, I'm interested in a Healy, accidentally or on purpose, it's going to take you to the shop page. Why? Because it's going to help you buy a Healy. But what we're training right now is that you already have your Healy, and you've loaded the apps, and you want to connect to your Healy. So you're going to click on I have a Healy.
Hey, Ken.
I have a Healy.
Somebody's got somebody. You're in control here, and you've got a couple people unmuted that you need to mute, I think. I see Cheryl and Steven Surlis. If you guys could mute yourself, I'd appreciate it. Ken, you'll have to do it. I can't do it. We're getting an echo. And then Cheryl, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks. Go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and that would be some housekeeping things that we could do. If just to go in there and mute yourselves as you come in, that'd be great. Thanks, you guys. Okay, so if we have a Healy, like that step right there, we have a Healy, click on it. It's going to ask you to log in. Okay, it needs to know who you are and associate your purchase, essentially your residence purchase, with you. And this is the login step. So we click on login, and it's pretty basic. Putting in your email that's associated with your account and your password. Now, this is a spot where might get a little confusing, because let's say that you gifted the Healy to somebody, or you changed your email address somewhere along the line. The original email address that you signed up with in Healy, that's going to be the significant email here. This is where we can have a stumbling stone, and this is one of the first. So if you've gifted your Healy to someone, you're going to need the email address and login information for the person who purchased it, the original purchaser. You can transfer that to the person you're gifting it to or loaning it to, whatever, but that's going to require some action on the back office, or I should say on customer service.
Ken, can you stop for a sec? We're getting a lot of feedback. Is your phone's speaker also on?
Negative. So, okay, you guys, I think there's other folks online.
Sounds like it's fixed.
Okay. Thank you, guys. When there's other folks that come online and their speaker on their computer is on, and my voice is coming through their computer, it's also going through their microphone, you'll get this feedback loop. Okay. So if everybody could just mute themselves. And the way you guys do that to mute yourself is you simply touch the screen if you're on your phone, or click the screen if you're on your computer, and there'll be a little microphone at the bottom, typically bottom left corner, and you can just click on that and it will mute you. Okay. So then again, back to login spot, we're going to put in our email address and password. You'll need to click on the tabs to the right there that says that you've read the privacy policies, agree to the user agreement, and then the content declaration. So you've got to click on those before you can click on login. All right, then you click on login, and it's going to do some synchronization. This is an automatic function. It's going to synchronize between the app and your Healy and the account cloud. Okay, there's an account associated with you in the cloud. It's going to synchronize with that. Now, here's another spot that could be some struggle. You're going to need to know right up front how to activate a couple things on your phone. Number one is your connection with your Wi-Fi. All right, are you on a good Wi-Fi before you start all this process? Do you have your Bluetooth enabled on your phone? So those are some things that are important. If your Wi-Fi maybe at your home, or if you happen to be at a coffee shop. I wish we could mute in the background. I don't have anybody to do that for me, so I'm going to have to ask you guys to do it on your own because there's still some feedback here.
If you're a speaker and unmuted, please just turn your own volume way down.
Okay. So back to the Wi-Fi thing. If you're trying to do this at a coffee shop, you're trying to do this at a public Wi-Fi, you're trying to do this even on your Wi-Fi that might be having a low integrity, the bandwidth is going to be an issue, and it's going to need a very strong bandwidth to do this synchronization. There's a lot of information that's going to be transferred. So just some things that are potential stumbling blocks, just write that down. Don't get frustrated. Just know that there's some things on the background we need to make sure that we're aware of. Okay, so it's going to be doing this.
Can I jump in for a sec here? I also recommend when people start that they make sure all of their active apps are turned off, because that can be very helpful to do that for interference.
Absolutely. Because again, what it's doing is consuming processor resources on your phone itself. When you have a lot of apps in the background running, or you're trying to do multiple things, it's best to just focus on this one task until you get it done. So the synchronization part, you see at the bottom of the screen there, it says downloading databases. So what's it downloading? It's downloading a lot of information from the cloud to your app. Nothing to do with information from your phone. Nothing to do with privacy information. This is all about, there are holistic medicines that are digitized. There's 364 different holistic digital remedies within the databases. There are over 120 different Healy programs that are in the databases. So it needs to put all this on your app, right? And so it's going to synchronize between the cloud and your app, and all that information will be updated. We're going to go a little bit later. We're going to go over some of what these tabs mean, from the key management information to the sync section. We'll go over that a little bit later, but for now, just understand it's going to be doing some downloading, and what it's downloading is information from the cloud that's going to support your Healy Resonance app. Okay. So the next part's going to be, it's going to give you a little success. All right. You click on the OK, and we're going to go to this is the next very important part, is saving the master key. Now, right here, after it's downloaded the data, the next process is generating an encrypted master key for you based on your account. Well, your Healy, I should say. And then we want to save this master key in a few different places. This is a very important encrypted code. This is where we've had having a lot of folks having difficulty. And the difficulty has to do with, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth, but if you see this screen right here, then you're in good shape. That means that it's ready to put that master key that it's already generated through all this encrypting and data downloading it did just a minute ago. It's ready to put that master key somewhere on your device so you can store it and maintain it yourself. It's very important that you don't lose this. And it's very important that you store it in more than one place. I recommend emailing it to yourself. I've texted it to myself. I have it on my Google Drive. I have it in my Dropbox. I have mine in several places. So this is where you're going to click on Save Master Key. All right. It's going to do another little bit of an encrypting process. And depending on your device, you see here it says it could take a few minutes to do this. The master key is a lot of code. And you don't try to read it because it's just a lot of code. But it's not a huge file, but the encryption part takes a minute. And so again, depending on your Wi-Fi speed, the CPU resources that are being utilized on your phone, this is another reason why we close all these apps and such. So this may take a while. Now, when I say a while, just a few minutes. Okay, so once it does that, here's what your master key looks like. Okay. Don't try to read it because it's really it's not for your reading, but it's a 4096-bit encrypted master key, right? Unique to every single Healy. So what we want to make sure is that we just leave it in its natural state and just save it. All right. We're going to have options to save it in different places. This is what it's going to look like once it's you click on the Save Master Key. There'll also be other options such as email and things like that within your device. So again, where you can save it is different places. The master key is going to have a certain file. All right. This is what the file looks like. Please don't change that file. Just let it be stored in that particular name in your particular location. Right. So you've chosen the location, and you'll have opportunities to do this more than once. And we'll show you later on how to retrieve it even down the road. But leave the couple key pieces of information. Number one, don't try to open the file and change anything within the file. Secondly, don't change the name of the file. Okay. Just leave it as is and store it. All right. If this is where we're having another stumbling stone, I want you to take a look at this screen, capture the screen, whatever it is, but take a look at this screen because a lot of people are seeing this with their brand new Healy, resonance or analysis. And this is a problem. If you're seeing this particular screen right here, that means that there has not been a master key associated with your account. And this is a customer service issue. Now, the customer service field team can fix this here in the US. They have the ability to fix this, but you're going to have to put in a support ticket. And so, because just look at this logically for a second. It says import master key file. If it's looking for the function of importing master key file, let's not write on the screen, folks.
Why that's happening.
Yeah, somebody's writing on the screen. So
come on, guys.
If I'm going to stop screen sharing, so we'll just move on. But if somebody has that screen where it shows that that they're trying to import the master key, that means that it has not actually generated yet, and so that means it's missing from the encryption part of the actual setup phase. So you'll have to put in a customer service ticket. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. So let's see if we can go back to let's see here. Let's go back and stop this. Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay. So the next, let's see if I can get this back for a second, guys. Sorry about that. If I can get get our presentation back. You know, sadly, when we have somebody want to write on the screen, it's just going to mess things up for us.
I'm not able to see a setting, probably because I'm not the host. There's probably a setting that will help with this issue.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, back to the master key. Okay. This is the screen I was talking about. If you come to this screen, we have a little bit of a problem. Again, contacting customer service. What we should see is the saving master key, this screen right here. All right, that's what you should see. All right. So once we've saved the master key, you can choose one of these three options at the bottom of your screen. The gear on the far right is the settings tab. The one in the middle would be where we could set up a client, and then the home page. This is the client settings right here. Okay, the one in the center. the little heartbeat right there. That is where we're going to be able to run scans. So let's go over back to this page where we are talking about the syncing process. We're talking about, this essentially is the settings tab. This is where we can do lots of actions such as backing up our master key. There's certain features in here we want to talk about a little bit more clearly because they will be helpful down the road. So Freddie, I think you wanted to talk about this particular in the center of the screen where it says backing up the master key. So I'm going to hand this back over to Freddie because that's, let me see, let me get back over to Freddie here.
You need me to raise my hand? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Awesome.
Where are you?
Very good. Let me see.
I'm looking for you. There's Freddie. All right. I found you, brother.
Okay, great.
Making you the host. Here he goes. Okay. Freddie's going to show us some more.
All right. Very good. Excellent job, Ken. Thanks for those great explanations. Give me 1 second here. And let me get my screen back over here. I'm going to move back over, guys, over to the live version of my phone. Give me 1 second. And again, I'm working on the Android. Okay, Ken, again, thumbs up.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Okay, so let me just open up that Analyze app again, guys, and then we're going to get right back over to where Ken had left off. And so what he was mentioning again, if you see down at the bottom, the little house, that's your home screen, the one little heartbeat, that's where you see my page now. I'm going to move over into the settings, okay? And so I'm just going to run through these, of course. Oh, what a nice red line across there. Switching language, I'm just going to open these briefly. Again, here are the different languages. Make sure you have your right language on there. And then I'm going to get back to the cloud settings. What I want to do is start at the bottom. You see where it says manual? So even though this manual isn't where you can upload it and view it in the back office, it is here. And so when you get off of this Zoom meeting today, we're hopefully taking notes. This is being recorded as well. You can also come here. And you see it takes just a minute to download. But on your device, whether it's a tablet or on your phone, if you have your Analyze app up and running, I just wanted to open this quickly and show you, you have this tool readily available for you for your review to get some more knowledge on a 24/7 basis. Okay, so when you see this, right, opens up the manual, you'll see again there's a nice content page, and then there's all these visuals to help aid you as well. Okay, I just wanted to open that up. Now we're going to move back over here, and we're going to go, and the contact information, that's company, the Healy website there, contact Healy, again, that's their contact info. Again, that's real simple. It tells you here, and you can validate, make sure your hardware, which is your SN number, make sure it's right there, and make sure that your Bluetooth, right? You know, make sure all of those little things there that are huge things when it comes to using your app. And now we're going to get to the most important part, which is the cloud settings. Here you'll see the user information, that's you, and the email that you have connected with this particular app, it tells you right there. It's also where you can log out. Some folks have challenges trying to figure out, where do I log out of this app? Well, again, right here in your settings under user, you can log out here. Editing the cloud account profile, changing passwords, don't concern yourself with doing that. If you're here, what you want to do is you want to look at backing up the master key. Okay, and we're going to get back to the connected cloud devices in a second. But when you tap and open up that backup master key, so again, see, I've generated that master key. I haven't. The system has generated it, again, associating and connecting with my device. So when I tap on Save Master Key, right, what it does now, it opens up. You see at the very top, there is the master key connected to my Healy. As Ken said, don't rename it, don't do anything with it. The purpose here is to show you all these different locations. So you see the top left there, it says Save to Drive. That's your Google Drive, right? So if I tap there, just for an example, what it does, it goes ahead and there's the document title. Don't change that. It tells me the account, right? It's my Healy World account, and the folder is my drive. Now, if I had a different folder title, I could put it, or I could just put it in my drive, right? So if I go ahead and you see where it says save and I tap save, what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and give me that option to save it on that drive, which it did for me, right? Now, the other option too, I'm going to go back to save master key again, is if you look here, I can send it to myself in a message, the Samsung cloud drive, you know, and scrolling down here, Gmail. I suggest again, and I'm going to tap Gmail because that's the one that you saw earlier. You see up the top. So it's already there available. All I'd have to do is type in right here. For example, I'll just put MK for master key, or excuse me, wrong one. And I'm going to type in here. So when I tap 2, it gives me the options of different email addresses. I'm going to go ahead and tap that one. That's where I store things. The subject, I'm just going to put MK for master key, right? And then I'm done. Okay, all I got to do is send it now. And now that is sending to my Gmail account. So I've got it backed up there. I can back it up. As Ken mentioned, I also have it backed up in my Dropbox. I have it in my iCloud, my Samsung Cloud. So you can save it in multiple places. That becomes very important because if you get a new device or you want to add a device, let's say you have a second phone, or maybe you're using a phone, you want to add it to your tablet, you'll want to be able to use that master key from where it's stored, okay? So that's very important to make sure it's stored there or where you store it, okay? When we go back to looking at connected cloud devices, for example, you'll see this is going to come up, and I just wanted to pull this up because we were looking at this earlier, okay? It's not possible to connect to the login server, okay? Well, there could be some different reasons. Maybe they're doing some maintenance on the server. Again, and maybe it's the bandwidth. Again, that isn't as important as looking at the backing up for the master key. Now, when we scroll down on the same page, the sync session, right? And we talked a little bit about the mobile data, okay? So that would be your carrier, T-Mobile, AT&T, whoever it is. You're going to be looking to use their connection, like a Wi-Fi, if you will, okay? If you need to use that, fantastic. If not, the two below, the automatic sync, that one needs to be on so you can see it's on. List sync enabled, that needs to be as well. And one of the other things too, if you look under sync changes, you see where it says fully synchronization. Again, we were testing that out. Again, that function isn't working properly, again, for whatever the reasons are, but you'll want to get fully synchronized, and Ken kind of touch base on that a little bit as well. And then the same thing with your upload all data to the cloud. Okay, so that's saving all. Go ahead, Ken.
If I can add something in there.
Sure.
So these synchronization functions, like Freddie said, they are going to be, the speed in which that happens is going to be relative to your Wi-Fi. It's also going to be relative to your device itself. So the full synchronization versus the upload all data to the cloud. You'll notice here in his list there, he says the last sync was 3 months ago, and the changes that are awaiting, there's 311 of them. So the more frequent you do your synchronizations, the less number of pieces that are waiting to be uploaded or downloaded to the cloud, and the shorter amount of time it'll take to do those things. So remember, it's data, information, and what's being transferred is essentially any activities that you've done with your Resonance app. When I say activities, we're going to get into how to do Oryx scans. We're going to get into how to do Resonance scans. And they're going to generate lists. They're going to generate data, information. And each one of those is going to be able to be synchronized up to the cloud. And so this is where it's going to take longer to do those transfers. Using your mobile data, if you guys have a data plan that's a limited data plan and you have that little icon tab turned on, it's going to be using your data, just like if you were sending emails or any other downloads of pictures or web pages. That's all data transfer that's done through your particular carrier, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever. And you're going to need to know your data plans. If it's unlimited, great, no worries. You can use that. And the only reason that we're talking about that is because if you don't have a Wi-Fi and you still want to operate your device, you still can. And you can just, as long as you have a good data stream connection, whether it be LTE, some of you guys are familiar with some of these phrases, 4G, 5G. These are different ways in which data is transferred with your particular carrier and the device. Okay. All right. Thanks, Freddie.
No, absolutely. I think that's a great segue. I think we accomplished what we wanted to here in the settings section, right? And we've kind of reviewed everything else here in the settings. Doc, did you have anything else you wanted to add here in the settings before we pass it back over to Ken?
Not in the settings, no. Not in the settings, no.
Okay, very good. So, Ken, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop screen share and I'm going to pass it back over to you.
Okay, and I'm going to actually raise the hand on the participant that I want you to send it to.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to raise that hand so you see which one it is. There we go. It's going to be, yeah, you see me there?
I see you now.
All right.
Okay.
Great job, Freddie. So that's going to give the ability to understand those syncing processes. It's important. Let's see here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to real time set up a client. Because the next part is after you've got your device synchronized, you've got your master key. Now it's ready for use, and we need to know how to do that. Okay. So this is on my mobile device, and I'm going to go ahead and start that broadcast. Okay. So now we just simply open the Healy. Step one is making sure that we have our other apps off so we can have an enormous amount of CPU processing power for our phone. Number two, make sure your Healy's turned on. So you turn the Healy on. Then you open the analysis of the Resonance app. Okay. And now it's connecting to my Healy. So now I can actually, you see here, I am actually I have three different settings at the bottom of the screen we've covered. We have the little house, we have the heartbeat, and we have the settings. So there's where Freddie was in the settings. Over on the far left is the little house. That's our home page where we can input clients or access lists. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Thumbs up? Okay. All right. So I'm going to click on clients, and I want to show you something here. We can add a client. Now I have a bunch of clients in here already, but in terms of what we can add, look at individual, animal, plant, organization, building, vehicles. It's all energy, right? So when we're adding a client, it can be anything. We just need some information about it. What I want to do today, now I've got lots of individuals in here. That's pretty cool. But I'm going to add an animal. All right. Some of you guys might like doing that. It's the information. We still need some basic information about an individual. We need some basic information about an animal. If we're going to do our pet, we need information about a plant. We need information about a building. And some basics are right here. We need a picture. We need a name. We're going to need a birth date, a birthplace, and a gender. Now, there's other information like address and country and all that kind of stuff, even email and phone number. For a pet, we're not going to have that probably. But the point is that what do we really need? All right. Some of the most important pieces are the basics. Name. What do we recognize by? I've heard people say, well, I've changed my name over the years. Maybe you were married and you changed to a married name, or maybe you've gotten a spiritual name and that's what you go by. Okay. Well, the point is what do you go by? What do people know you by, and who are you? So I'm going to put Boone in there. It's my pet, his last name. I'm going to go ahead and get a picture of him, and we're going to choose that from the gallery. There he is right there. All right. I'm going to adjust that picture. I'm going to choose that picture, and it's going to put it in his record. There he is. This is Boone, everybody. Say hello to Boone.
Border Collie?
He is an Australian Shepherd.
Australian Shepherd. Beautiful.
Yeah. So his date of birth, he was born in, well, let's change the year. So we have a little rolling wheel here that we can change things. So he was born on October 20th of 2018. All right. I'll put that information in there. Where was he born? Well, he was actually born in Montana, in Livingston, Montana. All right. And I can just, again, I can put MT. I know what Livingston, Montana means. He is a boy. All right. So now I don't need any other information. I can spiritually, physically, and cosmically identify him with this amount of information. That's what Healy's going to do. So I'm going to click at the top of the page. You see that little check mark? That little check mark is going to allow me to store the client. And I always recommend putting them in the cloud, which is the cloud associated with this device. And that's because if I ever lose my app or my app is compromised, what'll happen is I have to delete the app. And all of my data, any of my clients, including myself, and all the records associated with me will be lost. So the cloud itself, what I say, 4,096-bit encrypted, you saw that code? That makes it unique. It's going to be really hard, impossible for anybody to hack, so you're safe. So if there's anybody there with their microphone still on, can you mute yourself for me? Okay. So I'll click yes. And do I want to perform an analysis now? Yes. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to do the resonance analysis, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that yields you when you do an analysis. We're talking about the resonance field, the fields of the body. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. It's going to pull my client in. There is Boone. And there is a focus statement here. And the focus statement says, with what do I have the greatest resonance now? And I'll share with you what that means from my relative terms. Essentially is if Boone was to say to himself or ask himself, what is it that I most resonate with right now? What would be my greatest version of me? And I was able to ask the infinite field or the divine guidance or the divine intelligence. I was able to ask that question and say, hey, I'm going to let that go into the field. What would be my answer? And that's kind of what we're basing this on. We're kind of saying, okay, with what do I have the greatest resonance right now? Allowing myself to open that awareness, open that field, and let Healy give me some answers. And then below that, you see continue with database selection. I'm going to click on that because now we can choose database. Remember how many I said before? In the homeopathic remedies, we have 364 different ones, and you see the different categories from Bach flower, amino acids, the different minerals, all these different things that we have here. Above there is the homeopathic remedies. They're digitized. And next to each one of those little words, let's just go back up to amino acids. Next to it is 76 in parentheses. That means there's 76 different digitized amino acid profiles that you can choose from, or you can allow the Healy resonance to analyze from to find out what's best for you. Okay.
Ben, can I jump in here right now?
Yeah, please.
All right. So I just want to go into just a little bit more detail of what these are. These are unique to the resonance. You will not find these particular programs and databases on any of the other editions. Bach flower remedies are homeopathic remedies that are primarily used for emotional states, mental emotional states. It says amino acids, but that's really a misnomer because it's not just amino acids. If you open up that database, you'll find vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. So it is basically should have been called supplements. Materia Medica is the name that is given to the book that contains all of the homeopathic remedies that are available. And so we have 42 of those specific homeopathic remedies. And if you'd like further information or detail on that, I always recommend that people pick up an actual purchase of Materia Medica online. There are many of them to choose from. Then we have the Australian bush flowers, which are very similar to the Bach flower remedies, another set of homeopathic mental, emotional type remedies. The Alaskan gem elixirs are more, mineral-based or gem-based. And then we have the I Ching. The I Ching is very interesting. If you've never heard about the I Ching before, it's an ancient Chinese technique of, how can I say it, divination or giving you answers to questions. And so the I Ching is a pretty remarkable database. There's, again, I would recommend that if you're interested in that, you purchase an I Ching book. Interestingly enough, back in my undergraduate days, I took a course in Chinese philosophy and we studied the entire I Ching the entire semester. And so this allows you to ask a question about something, it could be anything, but it allows you to formulate a question and then hit this button and find out, based on what shows up, the answer to your question. And then we have the Schussler salts, which is another category of homeopathic remedies, but they are primarily mineral-based. So they are the mineral-based homeopathic remedies. Okay, just wanted to go over that for people so at least they knew what they were looking at. Ken.
That's awesome. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate that. And he's the man, I'll tell you, for all those different homeopathic remedies. I want you to also take note there. It starts with, so starting right about here, you'll see that now we're into the Healy microcurrent programs. And so you can now choose. Now, remember what we're doing here. We're just choosing a database in which we're going to analyze the resonance field of the client. That's what we're doing right now. At the bottom of the screen, way down here, we can see we can choose all Healy programs. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to choose all Healy programs. And what Healy's going to do, the resonance function, is going to find out the top 5 pages of the ones you saw above, the 16 pages. Is going to pick the top 5. So we're going to click on all Healy programs. And now you'll see our page. There's our client. With what do I have the greatest resonance now? I just asked him. He's thinking about it. And then I've chosen a parameter of all Healy programs. All right. So now I'll click on start the analysis. Now I've got him laying next to me and I'm just having him be present with me. And this is what we can do with the individual. If we're talking with a person, we just want them to be present. Now there's a fingerprint here and I don't want that to scare you. It's not taking your fingerprint. All it's doing is asking the client to be present in the moment. Okay, so by placing your finger on the screen of the smartphone, it's going to also ask you to, basically when you place your finger on something, you're probably going to be looking at it. And where we place our focus or our awareness is where we place our energy. So this is what we want. We want the client to be present in this moment so that we can actually, they're not worrying about whether they left the lights on at the house or they got an email or some tiff they were having with a coworker. We're present in this moment. So they place their finger on the screen. I'm going to have Boone place his paw on the screen. And actually I can do it for him because I'm just putting my awareness on him as well. Here we go. Only takes a few seconds. And once it does the analysis, it's going to come up with a list. So here's the list that it chose the top 5, and a percentage. So the percentage is in order of priority. Okay. So the number 1 is the highest priority. Now it could be higher in priority. It could be a higher percentage. If it were more important in the client's life or in the client's moment, then it would be higher. Now, I like the fact that it picked out the Healy Gold cycle because that's actually where we recommend everybody start, right? But it just happened to pick up that. Then we have the jobs program, the beauty, we have mental balance, and then the psyche, pain and psyche. So these are the top 5 pages it picked for the client. There's some numbers there. Again, the percentage, we have a date and time. Okay, that's when this list was created, and this is a percentage too. Again, it's just a priority. The higher the percentage, the higher priority that this particular page is to focus on. Okay, does that make sense? At the bottom there, we have an Actions tab. We click on the Actions tab and look at what we can do. We can generate a PDF or show a PDF of this report. This is essentially a report, and that we can share that with the client. And or the next thing that we can do is the vibrate function, which means that we can now, if we click on vibrate, we can send the frequencies for each of these pages into the field of the client. Okay, so this is the energetic field. So these are frequencies coming from Healy. Now, Healy does a couple of things. So we're talking about just the resonance part of this function. And the resonance part of this function allows us to send these frequencies into the field via the noise generator, the system that's inside the Healy, sends it out into the field. And into what field? Our client's field. All right. If we were running this in the other program, the microcurrent program, we would be running the leads and running it into the body of the person. But simultaneously, even in the microcurrent program, it's doing the same thing that the resonance is doing. All right. So we're sending those frequencies to the field right now in the resonance program, but not the microcurrent. Okay. So let me show you, if we're going to show a PDF, it's going to generate a PDF. Let me show you what you can do with it. All right. So we have a report. This report basically gives us the relevance of the particular pages, what the database criteria was, and then we can send that. So at the top of the screen, the far right, you'll see a little menu choice. Click on that menu choice, and it's going to show me that I can email this list. All right. You see at the top of the screen there where it says analysis, and there's a number and a PDF. Sometimes this does not migrate when we go over and choose email. Now here's another little stumbling stone. I want to make sure you understand how to get around this. So remember back here, here's our report. Okay. We click up at the top right of the screen. It's going to pull that report in. You see that file at the top right there in that bar, and then some options of which I can text it to somebody or I can email it to somebody. I'm going to choose email. When I click on email, you see in the body of the email, it does not pull in the report. Okay, this is important here because if I just send an email to somebody, this screen, if I send this email, there'll be nothing. There won't be a report. So you see there's a copy tab that I can actually copy this particular file. See down at the bottom here, I have some options below the standards. I can copy it, and then I can go to my email, and I can click and I can paste it. There's the file. All right. We want to make sure this PDF file is migrated over into our email. Otherwise, it's not going to show up. Now, when you set up a client, you have an opportunity to put their email address in the client list. But remember that email list, all that client information only lives in the app. It does not live on your phone. Now we've migrated over to our phone's capability to send email. So none of that data is migrated over. We have to actually pull in an email address. We have to type in an email address here. And people are wondering, well, why? I just put my email address in my client list on Healy. Why isn't it showing up here? That's because, remember, it's anonymous. The app is anonymous to the phone's data, and the phone's data is anonymous to the app. So they're not going to have your contact lists combined. All right. So that's a very good piece of information to know, that to give people, that security, that none of this information is going on your actual phone. It's going into the cloud or on the app. That's why I mentioned earlier, if you lose the app or something goes wrong with the app and you have to delete it, so does all your clients get deleted. So it's a good idea to put it in the cloud. All right. Does that make sense? So this is where you would actually send this email. All right. I'm not going to send that email because Boone doesn't read. Okay. We'll cancel this, delete that. Okay, so let's go back to our list. Here's our list. Now remember, the top one was the Healy Gold Cycle. So what I can do now is I can actually just go back to our analysis, and I can choose. Remember I said we could choose a different database? So this is great information to show us the 5 pages, but what about one particular program on that page? How do we get that? Let me show you how to do that. So we go back to our client list. All right, we pull our client up from our list. There he is. And we're going to do another analysis on this client. Oops, sorry. Let's go to the resonance. Pull our client back up. There he is. Okay. Remember the statement, with what do I have the greatest resonance now? All right, that's the statement. And then what is the database we're going to choose? Remember what I said? We're going to drill it down to one particular database, which is the Gold Cycle. See it right there at the top of the page? So I can click on that. Now, this is where we're going to give the most important frequencies or most important programs on just this page. So now we've gone from the top 5 pages. Now we're going to get to the top 5 programs. Okay, so we click on the start analysis, again, being present in the moment, having our client put their finger on the screen, keeping them in the moment. Here we go. We're recording Boone's, the resonance. In this particular database, what resonates most with the client? Okay, and here's the order of priority on just that particular database page, which was the Gold Cycle. And now we have another priority list. Okay, the highest priority program on this particular page. We've kind of drilled down to the most important thing to do right now. And that's going to be the release program in the Gold Cycle on that page. Everybody gets the Gold Cycle page, everybody. So no matter what edition you have, you all have the Gold Cycle page. Now we know exactly which program on that page to use. It's the highest priority, 53%. Now the others, there's a 46%, which is balance, 35%, which is care, 33%, and so on down the line. Okay, but these are the top 5. So if you were going to create a priority list, you could run up to 3 programs a day and just use the top 3 right here, right there. That's a great recipe. Okay. And again, in the actions tab, this time, instead, I could send this PDF to the client, but instead what we're going to do right now, we're going to actually vibrate these frequencies, these particular programs, into the field of the client. Now, when I say, notice I'm saying programs. There's a release program, balance program, care program, and energy program. There's another one down below there. I don't remember what it was. It's going to send all 5 of these programs to them, and what's on each one of these programs is many different frequencies, but it's to send all of these frequencies to the field of this particular client. Okay, no, you're not going to be connected to the device. This is just through the vibration, or what I should say, I like the word transmit better than vibration, because we're literally transmitting these frequencies into the field of the client. And then at the bottom of the page there, you'll see select transmission duration. The default is 1 minute, 20 seconds. If you click on that, you'll see that there's various times that you can choose. We're going to do these for small increments of time. Yeah, when you're putting information into the field of the individual, it's instantaneous. So you don't have to do it for a long period of time. If we're looking at more things that are more systemic, we can do that for longer periods of time less often. But when we're looking at things that are more direct or acute, you can do smaller increments more often. Okay, so small increments more often for acute, larger increments less often for systemic. And these are pretty much systemic, in other words, system-wide programs for the entire state of the individual. So I'm going to leave it at that 1 minute, 20 seconds. I'm just going to show you real quick what that looks like when we hit the start key. And it's just going to cycle through. Here we go. It's going to cycle through those programs. It's going to send remotely these frequencies into the field of the client. And it's happening in real time. It's in real time with the Healy. And some of the ways you can tell, I mean, it's the Bluetooth is on the device, on the Healy, and then you see the cycling through of the app. Also, the green light will flash every now and then. With the green light flashing means there's data transfer. So there's data from the app to the Healy, from the Healy to the field. So there's data transfer. I want to also mention something quickly here, that the device, your phone, does need to be, I guess, dedicated to this process right now. In other words, if I was to choose to answer a phone call or go and check my email, it's going to interrupt this process because this is happening in real time. So you cannot use the phone for other things while you're doing this process. Okay, so this is important to understand. It's real time. And so if you decide to get out of this particular action and go to check your email or do a text, you're going to stop the process. Okay. All right. So that pretty much covers the resonance part. Anybody, Doc, Freddie, you want to add something?
I'd like you to then show them what the alternative would be, because there are two alternatives. You can resonate the programs into the information field, which is what you've done. But then you can also, based on the analysis, go to the Pink app and select specifically the release program, and then attach the electrodes and give a release program session to the person or the animal. And there's two ways of doing that. So there's actually three ways of sending a program. You can send a program via what Ken just did, which is in the vibration mode, which just sends those signals into the information field. Or you can go into the Pink app, and then you have a choice of hooking them up to the electrodes or the pads and sending the current with the microcurrent directly into that person or animal. Or you can choose to disconnect the electrodes and send the frequencies directly into that person without being attached. So those are three modes.
Yeah.
The modes that happen outside of the vibration, you have the microcurrent with the frequency riding over the microcurrent, which is the usual way you do that program. And then you have an option to do it whereby you can just send the frequency. And why would you do that? Well, you might have a contraindication where you're not allowed to use the electrodes. For example, somebody that has a pacemaker, or somebody that has that gets
an implant.
Implant, exactly, or has metal in their body, and you don't want to use it directly on an area. You can vibrate, or if you have maybe a pregnant woman, or you have somebody that's extremely sensitive to electrical current. Those are the options that you can still send that full 60-minute program into that person, but you're not doing it with the electromagnetic, you're not doing it with the microcurrent, you're doing it just with the frequencies. So it's good to know that there are three ways of delivering any of those programs. And, it's a matter of choice. I tend to deliver, emotional type programs through the vibration. And when somebody is dealing with a specific physical related program, I tend for them to use, if possible, the current and attach them to the electrodes. So that's the possibilities with any time you do a resonance scan. There are 3 ways to deliver those frequencies.
Yeah, that's great points too, Doc Steve, because he's talking about the 2 different apps, which we're training on the resonance right now, but the other app, which is the Healy app, which is the pink dot, that's where we're actually giving the physical frequencies and the energetic frequencies to the client. And the other significant part about that is, remember what I showed you with the resonance analysis and the resonance vibrate mode, we're sending the entire grouping of frequencies that are on that page, right? When you go to the Healy microcurrent app, you're sending just one page, right? Just one page and just the frequencies on that one page, which now you're drilling it down even further. But you could do either mode, the microcurrent frequencies, or, well, you're actually doing it both at the same time. You can either be connected and getting the microcurrent into the body, but at the same time, simultaneously, it's sending them out into the information field. And which is better? Again, like Doc Steve said, there's certain times in which you cannot take on those microcurrents into the body because of contraindicators. So then it's better to be able to get something as opposed to 0. And so that helps out. The microcurrent, actually, its job is to change some of the ATP production, to start to interact with the cells through the microcurrent. And on board those microcurrents flowing into your body are those frequencies. Now, again, that's the other app. That's the pink dot app. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you really quickly here is when we go to our client, we have lists, and we can go and choose a specific client. We're going to pick the one that we've been working with. At the top of the screen on the right, I can click that, and I can go to my show the lists, and now it's going to show the list that I just generated. So when we do an OREX scan, which Freddie's going to do the OREX scan part, that list would show up here as well. Now, he's not going to have our client, this particular client, on his device, but it will show up, all of your OREX scans show up in pink, and then the resonance scans show up in blue, so it's a quick color code reference. And then it gives you some information about this scan. The top one says there's the date and the time in which it was performed and what the database choice was, the gold cycle. Okay, the next one below is, again, it's all Healy programs. If I couldn't remember what the number 2 page was that it picked up, I could click on that and it's going to show me all of those ones. Okay, so I can go back and look at what number 2 page was, and I can redo an analysis on just that page. Okay. So any other quick things you want to add before we move over to the analysis?
No, I think we covered that. Okay,
Freddie, I'm going to now stop sharing this screen, and we're going to pull you back up here, Freddie, and I'm going to hand you the host. Let's see, make sure Freddie's got his hand raised. He doesn't, but I see him there. All right, brother, I'm going to send you the host capabilities so you can run with the OREX scan.
All right, fantastic. Excellent job. Hold on just a minute.
And I know Freddie's got to run in a little bit, but we'll wrap up with the Q&A. If he's got to run, then Doc, you and I got it.
Okay, great. Thumbs up. Seeing my screen here?
Gotcha.
Perfect. All right, fantastic. So again, here is the home page. I'm going to move right over into the heartbeat page, really, the little icon down there at the bottom. And I'm going to go where kids started here in the home page and started with clients and added a new client here. So it can be done there. Or I can come in and I'm going to go right to the OR analysis. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to add a new client. It's going to be individual. And it's going to be me. So up there where you see the little picture frame is blank, all I have to do is add. I'm going to take a photo. And turn this around right here. Okay, so that's done.
Look at that handsome devil.
Got half of that right. So, and the same the information that's seated here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in my name and my last name. I guess I got to learn how to spell my own name correctly. Okay. And then when I tap on the birth date, you'll see this screen. Again, I'm on the Android. So you see this screen pops up. Now, if you were to take and try to go back to the year, that's a lot of time. All you have to do is up at the top where it says 2020. So if I tap that, it allows me now to scroll up or down. So I need to go to 58. That's the year I was born. And I tap that. Now I need to find the month. So if I tap where it has where it says July 1958, okay, and the date is the 19th. Okay, so I was born on a Saturday. That's pretty cool, right? Now at the bottom it says clear, cancel, or set. So I want to tap set. So that's going to save that there. Birthplace here is Texas. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the email address in here just so we can show again once this data is created and I wanted to be able to send it, I'd be able to do that via email. Okay, don't need to put a phone in there. Mail I checked. That's pretty much the relative information I need here. And at the bottom, I want to synchronize the client database. So I'm going to go ahead and tap that. I got all the information I need here. Going back up to the top where you see it says add new and the little white check. I just want to tap that. And now it's asking me, or letting me know the client has been stored, or do I want to? The answer is yes. Okay.
Hey, Freddie.
Yes.
In that, see there, guys, there's a little list that says title. Now, sometimes people want to put doc or doctor or whatever their title is. Now, that doesn't have to be, so we can have a name. We can also have a title in our life, like, like servant, or, I mean, if we really serve the world, or somebody might say their title is peacemaker or whatever it is. You can have a helper. I love it. So you can put a title in there if you want to get a little bit more detailed. It doesn't have to be a title of your profession. Who are you?
All right, perfect. Thanks, Ken. All right, now, so you see,
one thing before you do that, there was a step we skipped, and I just want to go back so that people get it, which is the fact that if you'll notice it said record vibration. And that is something that you do when you're first setting up a client. What you do is when you put all the information in there after you're complete with them, you have them hold the Healy in their right hand and you hit that record vibration. And the reason that is so important to do is because when you're going to work with that particular client in the future, especially if they're not with you physically present and you're working on a remote scan, you have their vibration, their personal vibration already locked in. So when you bring their name up and you're sending whatever treatment or doing whatever scan you're doing with them, there's that direct connect that happens there automatically. So again, when you're filling out the information for the client, make sure you click the button that says record vibration while they're holding the Healy in their right palm.
And then also too, if you're like, for instance, like if you're doing an animal or a plant, you can have the Healy next to them, near them, right. So that the most important thing is too that the awareness and the focus is on that particular client or even a building. So how do we we can put the Healy in the building, in the room. Mm-hmm. Somewhere within the vicinity. If it is truly 100% remote, it's across the country. then that Healy needs to be its intention. All of this, my intention, the person's attention needs to be on that present moment, and then allowing that scan to still happen, but they don't have it in their hand in that case. So that's some of the remote functions that we can do. That's another training, but that's another piece to understand that the Healy being in the vicinity or in the hand of the person.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, guys. All right, so what we're looking at now is the picture I just took a moment ago, right? And up at the very top, it says record A, and you'll see the little cloud, the arrow down, right? So if I tap that, right, it would generate the PDF file right there, but there's no information. So we would need to come back or go back here. And we have an interpretation and an analysis. What we're going to do is the analysis, okay? So if I go ahead and I tap analysis, here is what that looks like in the little candlestick scale. So you'll see in the chakras, the one that's the highest is the heart, right? Then I have the throat and the root are the second. So if I take and I tap the interpretation, and I love the way you explain this, Doc. So I'm going to just have you explain what we're seeing here on this screen.
What we're seeing is specifically how your body in particular relates to those specific chakras, and gives you a lot of information. I mean, there is so much information. It's 18 pages of information, and it's really interesting because it's real specific to the person. The initial information will just talk about the chakras in general, and then when you do the analysis itself, it tells you how you as a person relates to that particular chakra.
Very good. And then where it says more about the heart chakra, in this case, if I tap that, right, it gives me, as Doc was saying, even some more information, some more details here, right? So there is a lot of information here under that interpretation. Right.
So that's just the general interpretation of the chakras in general. And now you're going to, I'm assuming, go to the analysis.
Right. So
a significant difference between the interpretation and then the analysis is the analysis going to look at the three lowest, and the interpretations are going to be of the three highest.
Right.
So we're wanting to balance the three lowest. So now with the analysis part, we're going to pull the three lowest into the parameters. We'll start the analysis, and now it's going to give us understandings and information about how to balance those or improve those lower conditions.
All right. So now I'm going to tap start the analysis. And again, I'm holding in my hand here. Okay, and now what we're going to look at here, again, some of the detailed information. And if I click on the actions, just like we were looking at with Ken, I can either manually add or I can show the PDF. Again, if I tap that, that's going to show the PDF. It gives me the information thus far that I can take and I can send via email in that case. Now the vibrate, I tap the vibrate. Again, it's going. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and start the transmission. Again, I'm holding it in my hand and it's going through that process. About a minute, 20 seconds.
So if you were to ask the question, what's being vibrated into the field? And these are alignment frequencies. So to raise some of the lower energies within those centers based on the analysis. So there's an analysis of what? Well, of the field of the best version of Freddie, the information field where it knows already the alignment, the most homeostasis for Freddie versus what it's picking up in the present moment. This is the present moment. Do this analysis again later, it's going to be different. Why? Because every time we become aware of information, it changes us. So now what's happening is there's frequencies being sent to his field for balancing the inconsistencies or the incoherence of those two states.
Awesome. So that's just the example. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. Move back. And again, if I wanted to take the action and show the PDF that I could send, again, top right, gives me the ability to come in. The analysis in PDF form is already there. I want to email it. Again, I can go ahead and type in and send. And it's already sent. So it's perfect. Okay.
That's awesome, Freddie. Doc, you want to add anything?
Not at the time. I mean, there's specific information. We don't have time for it now. Next percentage, you'll see a number, and then you'll see these Roman numerals, and they're basically, the number in the middle is related to more of the relevance of what that person needs the most, and the lower the number, like it was number 1, it would mean that at this moment in time, that's the most of what a person needs. And then the numbers on the right side relate to homeopathic numbers. So if there's something like a C, it works more on the physical. If it's more of the LM potencies, we're dealing with more of the emotional or the spiritual.
Yeah, I like what. So those numbers are actually lots of information. You see how it shows a percentage again, like we talked about earlier. Even in the resonance, the percentage is the priority that particular attention of that client on the brow chakra alone. So it's a pretty high relevancy to pay attention. Then you've got, of course, the number 1 through 10, which is priority. Then, like Doc said, the next part, that LM, that's like the homeopathic dilution,
it's
right?
The potency, right? Yes.
Yeah, the potency, like you said. So and then of course the date that scan was generated and the time. Mm-hmm. Lots of information there.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. And then I just wanted to go back here as we were looking at the list. So you identified earlier about the different colors. So here you'll see, here's lists of some of the other in my list. And the one that I just did, time and date stamped in that pinkish color, that is the identifier between aura and the blue in the resonant, okay? And then, of course, here, as you mentioned earlier, if I tap on it, it's going to come back and it's going to give me that data that it just generated. And if I come back over and I come to the home screen again, and it's here on the list, and if I go to clients and I go down here and I tap my name, then it gives me all of this information if I need to come in, add or change, or again, looking at recording a vibration. Everything is right in here as well. Okay?
That's awesome.
So I'm going to give it back over to you, Ken. Just a minute.
Okay. All right. So now I think we're going to try to do a little Q&A. I've seen some questions coming in, lots of questions coming in about some specifics there. And I know, Freddie, you may have to take off. Doc, is there any questions you want to address or anything you want to cover as a wrap up? Freddie, you, Doc, either one?
No, I mean, we'll be doing further sessions to go more in detail in some of the different areas. But now it was basically to get people set up with their resonance device.
Doc, do you want me to pass the controls over to you or over to Ken?
No, you can give it to Ken because he's going to continue. I'll probably search for the questions now, and he can actually show them if he needs to. But like I said, in future sessions, we'll actually go more depth into some of these areas. But today was primarily to get people that just received or have recently received their Healys, how to set up the Analyze Resonance app, because that's the place where I feel that most people have questions, where most things can potentially go wrong. And of course, the master key is a big issue. The one thing I also would like you to just talk about, Ken, just briefly, is the blue screen.
Okay. Yeah. You're cutting out a little bit there, Doc, as far as your audio. I don't know if it was just me. But the blue screen part, if you get a blue screen, what he's talking about there is if you open your device, you open your app, and you only get a blue screen, then that means that there has not been an activation of your account. So you're going to probably see that you can't actually import information or download information. That's just kind of a thing we have to deal with. It's a bit of an oversight on the other end, and so Healy's going to have to activate your device. And so what we also like to do is talk to your upline. So if you've got a sponsor or an upline, depends on how you come in. If you're a customer and you have a sponsor that helped you out, talk to them first, and then from them, they can move up to another resource and try to get your questions answered. Sometimes it's just the fact that you're on the wrong app. So we want to make sure that we are looking at the right information, and that's what we're here for. This is why Healy came out in the format that it did, that in a network or social type of selling atmosphere. So you have a lot of resources to help you. If you feel like you're not being supported, keep going up the line. Being part of this group right here is the best place to be, because now we're going to put as much information as we can here in the trainings and reaching out in that respect. But always go to your upline or your sponsor first, and then from there up.
Excellent. Ken, I wanted to interject too, if I may. Very important that everyone, and I suggest this to folks before they even upload the Analyze app, is to go in and review the videos, because the videos there just pertaining to the Analyze app are going to give you a great foundation. It's going to be that education to help you understand. We took a little bit of time here this morning, but individually we need to actually use it and get more familiar. I know I do. It's a work in progress as well, but those videos do give you that foundation. And then the other thing I wanted, Ken, I know we've been doing a lot of different communication with folks out there, just to go back and let them know, again, just emphasize that point. If they're hitting a certain screen where it says, I have a Healy, instead of showing them or walking them through the steps of allowing them to actually put their credentials in and actually syncing that information. Just touch base on that again, if you would, please.
Yeah, so the screen where it comes up when you first are loading the app, and then you turn your Healy on and you open the app first looks for the Healy, right? It looks for the Healy. It needs to know what to connect to. And then that Healy is the portal between your app and the cloud and or you as a client. So there's some syncing or some interacting or handshaking that needs to take place at that moment. And it's going to ask you again to log in. It's going to ask you to click on some acceptances, like we said earlier, accepting the terms and such. And then it's going to that screen where it says, I have a Healy, or I'm interested in a Healy. Make sure you select that you have a Healy, because why? You have one. It's in your hand. It's then going to connect to the Bluetooth and give you a further connection point. Okay. So, yeah.
And then just to piggyback on that too, some of the things that are totally beyond our control. Again, we talk about the bandwidth, we talk about the Wi-Fi connection, your individual supplier, if you will. Yeah, depending on an AT&T, Sprint. All of those are variables, of course. It's not in our control, but you need to be aware. I think Doc said it best earlier. Make sure you have all the apps off. Make sure that you're in a good place, where you're going to maximize your Wi-Fi capabilities so that all of this synchronization that needs to go on is going to have the maximum potential for success. Okay?
Absolutely. Those are great pieces of information. We need to make sure we understand our device. Number one, the smartphone itself. I mean, there's many times where the smartphone itself is the bottleneck. It is the issue. And then, like we've experienced some of the things today, sometimes Germany is working on the cloud database, and it will also be a bottleneck or a stumbling place. So again, knowing who your sponsor is, having a channel of information. And I really like what Freddie said. The videos are key. There's a startup email that each person is supposed to receive. Now, we did place that email in the team Healy USA. And so on there are links, great links, awesome links about getting started, about even the link to the apps themselves, a direct link, whether you have an Android or you have an iOS system. Then also the videos as to the Resonance app, as to the Healy app. Great stuff there. So review that, do your own diligence first, right? And then because that not only helps you know more about the device, but it also is going to eliminate a ton of basic questions.
And then the last thing I wanted just to piggyback on that little bit of information again is if you see some of these things happening initially, your upline does or doesn't know. If they can't help you, that's okay. The company now, through the support, is able to help with some of these issues. So put that support ticket in and let them help you, okay?
Right on. All right. So we're an hour and 30. Doc, you want to field any questions? Do we have a moment? We're not going to open the mics, but we do have some stuff in the chat.
Doc, did you hear that?
Yes. Question, somebody wanted me to restate the 3 ways of delivering the programs. Again, you can do it through vibration, or you can go back to the Pink app, choose the program, and then deliver it either with the electrodes on or without the electrodes. So those are the 3 separate ways of delivering the.
Right on. So Terry put in the chat there an email, or not email, but a link, basically a website in the Team Healy USA group, the Telegram group, where you found this Zoom link. In there, scroll up because there is the video from the first training we did in June, and then also the email I referred to. It's there. You can click on that and get all the links are within that email. So, and then also I see Terry put in the chat there a web address where that's available there too.
Somebody asked, what does the negative run on the Aura scan? Is it okay to run both? I would say just keep it at the default setting. Don't run the negative run, because what happens when you do that is you get all these negative percentages that show up. And it's basically, that's sort of a spillover from the time waiver device. So the time waiver uses that for other conditions. And at this point in time, I would say not to get into that.
Yeah, you're going to get, when you go into negative relevancies, it's going to go into subconscious and very, very distant things. I mean, it's going to be a lot more information. And if you're already having struggles with the surface information, try not to go too deep yet. Give yourself time. All right. Anybody else?
Is it best to enter and vibrate the 5 recommended programs separately, or okay to just vibrate all Healy programs at one time? What I have found is the more specific you are, the better result you get. So if you drill down to that prime program by running the scan twice, which is usually the way I recommend people do it, I feel you get the most power. in terms of what you're trying to deal with, especially if it's on a physical condition.
Yeah, remember your initial scan is going to yield you 5 pages worth of data, and then you can go back and drill down each one of those pages in a different database selection, basically the page itself, and then drill down each page into the 5 top recommended programs on that page. So you can create yourself, I don't know, like a recipe, right? So, and all those lists will be stored in your client lists. And so just play with it. That's the best way to get familiar too.
How do we decide how long for the vibration, 1 minute, 2 minute, or 10 minute? Well, there is a rule. The rule is whether the condition is acute or chronic. And there is a chart that you can actually get in your back office that specifically tells you the timing on that. But basically, if it's an acute issue, it's a shorter time, many more times per day. And if it's a chronic issue, a longer period of time, a couple of times per day. But if you're looking for a general rule of thumb, usually it's either the 12 or 26 minute setting are the ones that tend to have the most powerful effects if you're just running one program itself. If you choose that.
Awesome. And a question about customer service, about putting in customer service tickets, that kind of thing. There is a support tab within your back office. As a customer, you are a registered customer, so you have support settings for that. A phone number for customer service, there's not currently. Rick, do you want to take that?
Sure. We don't have a plan in the immediate future to add live support, but we will be adding it. The reason is with all the tickets, I'm just worried that you guys have set on hold for hours and just be even more frustrated. So please let us work through the tickets and get to that. And if you have any issue like the blue screen, that just means your device got somehow mismatched as they scan it as it goes out to be shipped and then report it back to us. And somehow we didn't get your programs loaded. It's just called activation, and we'll get that done with customer service. And please do put your ticket in the back office. And that's been intermittent. So as you know, if it doesn't work, I would love to see some screenshots of it not working. That would help me a lot. And if it doesn't work, then you can send an email. It's it's sales.support.us@healyworld.net. sales.support.us@healyworld.net.
Awesome. Thanks, Rick.
Hey, Rick, I was going to say a question or a comment question came in, and it says, I've tried 5 different devices to get signed in. None of them work. Followed by your instructions, could you at least make sure device is activated first? I think that's probably one of the situations that you'd like to get some screenshots on, especially 5 different devices and they can't get one of them to upload the app. Something is not right as far as either, as you stated, that switch didn't get flipped on for the app, or the device is not capable. Something there needs to be identified. So pictures would help a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a question about medical insurance and trying to get insurance to cover this, and they want phone numbers and addresses and such.
I can address that, Ken.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so right now we have not found an insurance company that will reimburse you for this medical device. That doesn't mean it can't happen. We actually have pushed forward with that research and found that there are some sort of vendors out there that can help us get that to happen. And interestingly, it has to happen clear down at the employer level. So my wife works at Whole Foods Market, and that's where my benefits are. They would have to approach Whole Foods. Whole Foods would have to add the device to covered medical devices, and then you would be able to do it. And I have it on the table with everything, the way it's been for the last, month or two. That's not moving forward, but the guys that can do it are ready to talk to us. And then the other part of this is if you have like an HSA with a health savings account, the beauty of a health savings account is that you load a credit card, and when you load, it may come preloaded with some dollars on it from your health insurance, or you can also manually load dollars on it and you write that amount off. So if you put $1,000 on that, That means you lowered your taxable income by $1,000. Talk to your accountant. I'm not an accountant, can't give you advice there. But that means that then you would have to call the HSA and ask if you can use it, because they'll nail you if they see a charge on there at Pizza Hut, they're going to come after you. But on Healy World, it may raise questions and it may get denied. So you just need to ask. And I have not yet found one that'll do it, but we are working on it and we're very interested in making it happen.
Thanks, Rick. We are definitely a new company in a new market, and many, many things are starting to unfold, and the creativity of the field is helping do that. So definitely ask those questions. That's kind of what we're doing today is putting some things out that we know. We're not experts. We've just done a lot of diligent learning and training and seeking and coming up with some solutions. So number one is, what's the device designed for? What's it capable of? That's going to be in the literature that was assigned to it. It seems like obviously everybody's trying to go beyond that scope, which is great. We're going to expand and get better. But just know that when you go beyond that scope, you're going to take more time to get it done.
Another question here I see, which is of importance. What about people with severe dementia where they're unable to have intention? Well, I mean, it's an important question, because you need to align your intention at the same time that the client aligns their intention. Because when you're doing a remote scan, for example, it's going to be your intention because you have the device in your hand. You're the one that's putting your thumb on it. So I would say with somebody with severe dementia, you also, along with them, place the intention for them, and that will assist that intention of actually happening.
Absolutely.
When you work in the information field, intention is the key, as I've always said. It's really clear to have a very clear focus and intention. And what I like to say is, have your intention be what the positive outcome is of what you're looking for, not on the disease process itself. So don't think about the disease itself or the imbalance or the concern that the person has. Look in your mind when you're doing this for the intention of what you see the positive outcome is going to be at the end, and focus on that. If you focus on the positive outcome, chances are you'll get a much better result and a much quicker result. That's what I have found.
Absolutely. And the emotional attachment to that, if your emotional attachment to that is a higher vibration emotion as opposed to a lack or suffering or worry, again, we're looking at an electromagnetic signature, right? Thought process is the electrical charge, the feeling or the emotion is the magnetic charge. Combine those two into a clear intention. What do you get? You get a very clear signal to the universe. That's what we want. We want to return information that's clear on our intention. One question there, I'm seeing this in the chat here about the master key solution. So folks, we talked about the master key. If it's not being generated, if it's not getting to the screens in which we showed, if you have watched the videos and you're seeing what you should expect and you're not seeing what you should expect, then that means there's probably a problem. Now, number one, check the bandwidth of your data connection. Okay. Are you using the data stream with your phone, or AKA your carrier, or are you using the data stream of your Wi-Fi? And is your Wi-Fi okay? How do you know? Try streaming video, live video or live chats, something like that. That's going to be the highest bandwidth task on your system. If that's working, you can eliminate that. So it's a process of elimination. All right. Next phase. The next thing that we're experiencing is sometimes the download from the cloud is offline. Okay. So that's also going to net a code, or I should say a message. It's going to say, cloud access is impossible at this moment. It actually uses the word impossible. So, but that's going to be a message that's going to come up on your screen. If you're seeing, like I said before, where it's asking you to import data, master key, if it's saying import master key, that means that there has not been a master key assigned to your account or to your Healy. So that's going to be a customer service ticket, not all the other things. The customer service is not going to be able to help with your bandwidth issue. So make sure that you're understanding where the stumbling stones are coming up. Okay.
I saw a question, not a question, a comment, but we'll turn it into a question. So if you lose your master key, okay, so what you're going to need to do is to put a support ticket in, let them know that for whatever reason, it didn't save where you thought, whatever the case may be, and they're going to have to reset that. But that has to be done through support.
And we have the ability to do that here with the U.S. customer service team. So it's a fairly simple and quick fix. But remember, it may be a simple and quick fix, but your ticket is amongst 5,000. And so if you put your ticket in 3 weeks ago, it's way ahead of one you put in today. So if it's the same issue still existing today, and you put another ticket in, it's at the bottom of the list. So it's just taking a while to get through those. What I recommend, if you go ahead, Rick.
I'm sorry. We do have somebody assigned to search the database of tickets, and they're searching for master key activation and commission issues and moving those up, because obviously it's frustrating to wait a month to get the product and then wait another month to get that ticket answered. So once we see that, then we have that person is assigned to actually do the activations and get the master key set up. So that's happening faster than where's my order.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And remember, when you're doing if you're sending a support request in via your back office, there's very specific questions it asks you, and so they can categorize that. But if you're doing an email, you're going to need to put in the subject matter, inactivated master key or need master key or something about the master key. So that, if you're writing a book in an email form, that's a lot of information for somebody to try to weed through before they even know they just need a master key reset. So kind of be logical and efficient. That'll help.
I'm seeing a lot of questions about using an alternative dedicated device, which I personally highly, highly recommend. I started out, like most people do, using it with my phone, and then I just found that my phone, because of all the things I'm connected to, were always interfering with the sessions. So I went out and purchased a tablet, and I love it, using it on a tablet, and it's a dedicated tablet, so that even when I'm showing the device for the first time to somebody new, I don't have to have my personal phone sitting right next to them for the entire 40, 50 minutes, making it inoperable for me. I just have the tablet. It's also larger for them to see that too. And you can get them very inexpensively. I mean, if you're an Android person, I can just say that I personally went to Costco and got a Samsung Tab A 8-inch tablet, and it was maybe approximately like $125. So I highly recommend having a dedicated tablet besides using your phone.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and you're going to have much less interruptions if you're running certain programs, and so it's a great idea. So there's a question about using the device with multiple people. So think about this, that if you have one Healy in the house, multiple users, multiple smartphones or tablets, you can load those apps on up to 5 devices, 5 different smartphones or tablets, and use the same Healy, right? So it's going to be the same account, and the family can use the Healy, but only one user at a time. So in other words, not 5 people are going to be able to use the Healy at the same time. And that's going to be something that's going to be on their individual smartphone. Okay.
And also to piggyback on that, Ken, that's why it's important when you go in and save your master key in multiple locations that become accessible, like Dropbox, for example, so you can access it from multiple devices.
Yeah. A lot of times you've got Dropbox as a shared entity, and the whole family can access that. Right. So if you've got a shared entity that you can do that, or the cloud system, then you can put that master key there, and each device will be able to, when they get to that screen, because now what'll happen is the screen will say upload master key. And you'll click on upload master key, and that's going to ask you to choose a location in which that master key exists. And you just go find it, click on it, and it'll import it into that particular user's app. Okay. And then that app will operate on that particular user's smartphone or tablet. Okay. Guys, we've gotten like almost 2 hours here. I think we need to wrap up. Anybody have a pressing question? One last one?
Ken, I just want to say real quick that I really sense that lots of people aren't getting their questions answered, and they've got some specific things. And I'm going to have a chat with you guys on our mastermind call Tuesday and suggest maybe just a dedicated Q&A call that we can spend an entire hour to an hour and a half and just take questions. I think that might be something that would really benefit people.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Doc, you want to wrap it up? You're the host.
I just want to thank Ken and Freddie for all their hard work and dedication. And really, they're the techie guys, part of the group. And whenever I have a technical question, they are who I go to. So thank you both for participating. As we said at the beginning, this is just a basic training to get everybody kind of on board. There are still people receiving their Healys, and we wanted to do this to try to cut down on the number of tickets and the number of calls that we all get personally on these basic issues. There'll be many, many more of these types of events happening where we go in more in depth on certain specific areas. But thank you for all attending today. It was a really good group. I think I looked down at one point, we had over 700 people, which is fantastic. And yes, we'll be posting this for review. So whenever Ken does a little editing and puts it back up there in a couple of days, it'll be available for all and be something that you can also share with some of your other members in their group when they get their Healys and want to know how to start. Remember, we have a part 1 and a part 2. It's a 2-part presentation. So when somebody's receiving their Healy for the first time, recommend that they look at both of these programs.
I want to say thanks a lot, Rick, for all your efforts also, and I appreciate that, and a great idea about this review thing. We'll definitely try to come up with more solutions. So thanks a lot.
Okay.
And
Happy
I just
Sunday,
like to
everybody.
say the
Thanks.
same.
Go ahead, Freddie. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just wanted to say I learned so much every time Doc and Ken and I get together and we talk and we're bouncing things off. And it's truly an honor and a pleasure, not just to work with them, you, Rick, but to share all this with everybody out in the field. It's really an honor. Thanks again, guys.
And I do say all the time, and you know it, it's the best product in the history of network marketing. Prove me wrong. If there's any caveat, it's because it is that there's a bit of a learning curve. And so I think of it like learning a comp plan. I've trained so many comp plans in the last 30 years, and everybody's like, it's too confusing. But then they just go through it and they get a little more, and they go through it again, they get a little more. Somebody asks them a question, they have to look it up, they get a little more. Suddenly they're training the comp plan. And this is going to be the same way with this device. We're never going to really master it. So it's just a matter of we'll put these types of trainings and Q&As together, and hopefully it'll fulfill all of your needs, and we'll get it figured out. Like, it isn't a new company, but it is new in our market, and every country seems to kind of do things a little bit differently, so we will do it. If the mastermind group and Freddie don't have anything else, I'm going to sign off for now. As is customary, I will unmute everybody, and on the way out, say goodbye to us and tell us where you're from, and have a great Sunday, guys. See you tomorrow.
Guys.
Okay, there it is.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Pennsylvania.
Carolina. Thank you. New Jersey. Wait.
Maryland, Larry.
California.
Guys.
Larry.
California.
Okay.
Thank you. Great information.
Arizona.
Everybody close to Hatch.
I'll tell you so much. It was really
Morning.
informative.
South Florida.
Absolutely.